Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a story that's all about family, passion, and the incredible moments that change everything. It's the story of Mark, a single dad, and his daughter Lily. Mark was a practical man. As a mechanic, he understood engines, tools, and tangible results. He worked long hours to provide for Lily, and his world was built on logic and hard work. So when Lily, at just 7 years old, announced she wanted to be a dancer, Mark just couldn't quite wrap his head around it. To him, dance was, well, frivolous. A hobby maybe, but not a serious pursuit. He'd watch her twirling around the living room, a blur of energy and joy, and he'd smile, but a part of him worried. He wanted a stable, secure future for her, something he could understand and rely on. He'd often say things like, "Lilybug, that's nice, but what about your math homework?" Or, "Are you sure you don't want to try soccer? It's great for teamwork." He wasn't trying to be mean. He was just speaking his own language, the language of practicality. He paid for her dance classes, of course, because he wanted her to be happy. But he rarely went to the studio. The smell of rosin and the sound of repetitive piano music felt foreign to him. He saw the fees as an expense for a passing phase, convinced that one day she'd trade her ballet slippers for something more sensible. As Lily grew, her passion for dance only intensified. It wasn't just a hobby. It was her air, her water, her way of expressing everything she couldn't put into words. The dance studio became her second home. She'd spend hours there after school, her muscles aching, her feet blistered, but her spirit soaring. She'd come home, exhausted but glowing, and try to explain the thrill of mastering a new step, the magic of moving in sync with the music. Mark would listen, nodding, but his mind was elsewhere, calculating the cost of new point shoes, or worrying about her falling behind in school. The disconnect between them grew into a quiet, unspoken tension. Lily felt he didn't support her dream, and Mark felt she was chasing a fantasy that would only lead to disappointment. He saw a world of auditions, rejections, and financial instability. He wanted to protect her from that. The arguments became more frequent. "Dad, the recital is next month. It's the biggest one of the year," Lily would plead. Mark would sigh, wiping grease from his hands with a rag. "I'll try, Lily, but you know how busy the shop is. It's our busiest season." Each missed performance felt like a small betrayal to Lily. She'd look out into the audience, searching for his face, and find only an empty seat. It hurt, but it also fueled her determination. She decided she would make him see. She would dance so powerfully, so beautifully, that he wouldn't be able to ignore it. The annual citywide dance showcase was approaching. This was the big one. Dancers from all over came to compete. Lily's teacher, Ms. Anya, saw something special in her. She saw not just talent, but a fiery spirit. She gave Lily a solo piece, a contemporary routine that was both technically demanding and emotionally raw. It was a dance about struggle, hope, and breaking free. For weeks, Lily poured every ounce of herself into that routine. It was her story, her plea to her father, choreographed into movement. The week of the showcase, Lily made one last attempt. She didn't argue or plead. She simply walked into the garage, her expression serious, and handed him a single ticket. "Dad," she said, her voice steady, "I know you're busy. I know you don't really get it, but this one is for you." It would mean the world to me if you were there." She turned and left before he could respond. That night, Mark held the ticket in his calloused hands. He looked around his garage, at the tools and engines that made sense to him. He thought about his little girl, the one he'd taught to ride a bike and bait a hook. When had she become this determined young woman with a fire in her eyes he didn't recognize? Her words echoed in his mind. "This one is for you." Something shifted in him. For the first time, he realized he wasn't just being practical. He was being afraid. Afraid for her. On the night of the showcase, Mark surprised himself. He closed the shop early, washed the grease from under his fingernails, and put on his best shirt. He walked into the bustling theater, feeling completely out of place. The air was electric with anticipation. He found his seat, the program feeling flimsy in his hands. He read her name, Lily Unspoken. When the curtain rose for her solo, the stage was dark except for a single spotlight. Lily stood in the center, her back to the audience. The music began, a soft, melancholic piano melody. And then, she moved. It wasn't the twirling he'd seen in the living room. This was something else entirely. Every movement was filled with a power and grace that stunned him. He saw her years of hard work in the flawless execution of a leap, her frustration in a sharp, angular turn, and her hope in the way she reached her arms towards the light. She was telling a story, her story, and he was finally, truly listening. The music swelled, and Lily's dancing became more and more intense. It was a whirlwind of emotion, a beautiful storm on stage. In that moment, Mark didn't see a hobby. He saw strength. He saw discipline. He saw a warrior. His practical world of nuts and bolts faded away, replaced by the breathtaking art his daughter was creating. He finally understood. Dance wasn't just moving to music. It was speaking from the soul. It was her language. As the final note hung in the air, Lily struck her last pose, chest heaving, tears streaming down her face, bathed in the single spotlight. For a moment, the entire theater was silent, holding its breath. Then, the applause erupted like a tidal wave. But Mark didn't hear it. He was on his feet, his own eyes blurry with tears, clapping louder than anyone. Backstage, Lily was surrounded by well-wishers, but she was scanning the crowd for one face. Suddenly, she saw him, pushing his way through. Their eyes met. He didn't say a word. He just opened his arms, and she ran into them, sobbing with relief and joy. He held her tight, his work shirt now damp with her tears and stage makeup. He finally pulled back, holding her by the shoulders. "Lilybug," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I am so sorry. I get it now. I see you." He looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw not just his daughter, but an artist. You were incredible. You were flying." From that day on, everything changed. Mark became Lily's biggest fan. He put her trophies up in the garage, right next to his favorite wrenches. He learned the names of ballet steps and even tried to fix the studio's squeaky sound system. He never missed another performance. He learned that supporting his daughter didn't mean forcing her onto a path he understood, but learning to walk beside her on hers, no matter where it led. And Lily, with her father's belief finally behind her, danced with a new sense of freedom and confidence. Knowing she was loved not just for who he wanted her to be, but for exactly who she was. This story is such a powerful reminder that sometimes, the greatest support we can give is simply to show up, to listen with an open heart. and to be willing to see the world through the eyes of those we love. Thanks for joining me for this one. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. We love sharing stories that inspire and connect us all. Until next time, take care and keep supporting each other's dreams.